So we're seeing more fallout from the cuts in NIH funding, specifically a heart pump for babies.
Yeah, this is a truly I mean, look, everything from this administration is disturbing. This is one that is going to kill babies. 40,000 infants a year in the United States, roughly, born with some kind of heart defect, a hole in the heart, a missing valve, something that doesn't work right. And that's actually a relatively low number. So the pharmaceutical companies, the device makers say, look, we're not going to invest in building a heart pump for babies. There's no money in that. So the federal government, for almost 20 to 30 years, has said, we will fund it. So the scientists and the researchers for decades have been working on this pump that is so close to going to clinical trials right now. It's called PediaFlow. And basically it's about the size of a AA battery, and you implant it into the infant, and it essentially works almost as a heart. It keeps the blood flowing. It's a pump. So we could save the lives of 40,000 infants a year. But this administration, through all their funding cuts, just announced, by the way, we're pulling the funding at the finish line from this infant heart pump. Again, almost done, almost ready to start implementing it. And the project's dead. It's crazy that they're even thinking about doing this, let alone they've done it.
When we look more broadly at the NIH, 354 out of 356 of the most recently approved therapies have all had some sort of NIH funding. Across all devices and treatments, NIH is all over the country. And, they've laid off more than 1,000 scientists and workers so far. And importantly, between 1991 and 2022, we've seen the cancer survivability go up 34% in this country. And that's largely in part because of things that have been funded by NIH. We also see that for every dollar that is spent on an NIH project, a local community receives more than $2 in return. So this is bad business, this is bad politics, this is bad for the rest of us. This funding is vital to our survival, to our innovation, and to medical progress. Because when you leave this space, we know what pharmacy companies will do. We've seen plenty of lawsuits about what they will do, charging what they charge for a medication that hasn't changed in 100 years in insulin, for instance. We cannot evacuate this space, and cutting $1.8 billion is not the right move at this time.
Right, and Donald Trump came out with his executive order this week saying, I'm lowering prescription drug prices, which would be great if you could. You can't do it via executive order. But if you really wanted to do it, what you would say is, listen, we're not cutting any funding for the National Institutes of Health. But if you're using a drug, selling a device that was made with taxpayer dollars, you can't charge us, 10% above cost. Something like that. You control the federal funding of things. You don't control what the pharmaceutical companies set unless you use that federal funding as a tool and a weapon. That is how he could have done this. Instead, he wrote it in a way that's going to immediately be overturned by the courts. Probably within the next 2 weeks, I imagine. It's going to be fast. But instead, we're cutting the funding for all of these life-saving projects, not just this pump. We have seen them cut back on infectious disease research. We were one of the only areas that was funding research on Ebola. That's gone. As you mentioned, all these scientists and researchers laid off to the point where France is now trying to become the new brain epicenter of the world, reaching out to them and saying, listen, come to France. We've got money, we've got labs. We will not just fire you because we're crazy people, and we want to be on the forefront of medical innovation. So our good people are being poached. It's not even like we can just wait out the Trump administration, rehire everybody, and get back to work. They'll be gone. The brain drain is happening right now, and it's happening because of cuts like this.
Well, in addition to the brain drain, not doing projects today means in 2 years the thing doesn't exist. This is not an overnight process. These programs take years and years of funding, consistent funding, and consistent research. Interestingly enough, when you look at the programs that he's cut, Columbia University is the clear standout, by and large, where the grants have been cut. This is also political axe grinding. When you look at who's getting cut, mostly schools that have spoken out against him or done something he did not like. Yet another idiocy from this man who claims to be a deal maker. Instead of making deals to help fund NIH, is cutting funding and grinding political axes.